Have you ever felt like someone you once meant the world to suddenly stopped valuing you? They became distant, stopped texting, and didn't make time for you anymore. Does it hurt to see that shift? The truth might sting, but what if the way you respond could change everything? You're sitting there, thinking about all the good moments when they laughed at your jokes, when they always reached out first and made time for you. But now, silence. The sudden change doesn't just happen by accident. The harsh reality is, they didn't change, they just stopped valuing you. So, what's the solution when someone you care about stops putting in effort? Do you beg for their attention, argue? Or is there a better way, one that doesn't involve chasing after someone who's already stopped running toward you? If someone stops valuing you, don't beg, don't argue, just disappear. Watch how fast they realize what they lost, or, more likely, confirm what you already knew: they've moved on. People don't lose interest, they simply realize they don't need you anymore. Harsh? Maybe, but think about it. The same person who once texted you first, laughed at your jokes, and always found time for you now suddenly gets too busy to connect. But here's the truth no one likes to admit: they didn't change, they just stopped valuing you. It's painful to realize, but the moment you stop being an option to someone, you start seeing them for who they truly are. Most people won't tell you this, but talking about it won't fix it. Pulling away will. You see, people don't appreciate what they have. They appreciate what they lose, and if you feel like someone is taking you for granted, don't complain, don't explain, just do this one simple thing: step back. The key to making them notice your value isn't in begging for their attention, but in creating space. If you're always the first to text, always ready to help, always available at their convenience, they'll stop putting in effort. Human nature is simple. When something is always there, it's taken for granted. Think about the last time you truly appreciated running water or electricity. It's always there until it's gone. Create distance, not out of spite, but to reset the dynamic. Start mirroring their energy. If they take hours to respond, don't reply immediately. If they only call when they need something, stop jumping to help. Make them feel your absence. This isn't about playing games. It's about breaking the cycle of being taken for granted. When you step back, one of two things will happen. Either they'll realize your value and start making an effort, or they won't care, proving they were never really invested in the first place. Either way, you win. I had a friend who I thought was close to me. We used to talk every day. Well, I thought we did. But when I looked back, I realized I was always the one initiating conversations. I was always the one checking in. So, I decided to do an experiment. I stopped texting. First, days passed, then a week, and there was silence. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a friendship, it was a one-sided effort. The moment I stopped being available, the connection completely disappeared. Did it hurt at first? Yes. But then I realized something. If my presence was only being sustained by my effort, it wasn't real to begin with. So, I walked away. And guess what? They never reached out. That silence, that was my answer. Set boundaries early. Don't always be the one to reach out first, to always be the one initiating, or to put in all the effort. Relationships are a two-way street, and if it's always you giving, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. As we talked about setting boundaries and letting go of those who don't appreciate your presence, let's dive deeper into how to handle situations when someone starts pulling away and how you can shift your focus to preserve your own peace. 1. Set boundaries early. Don't always be the first to text, call, or make plans. Let things be mutual from the start. Give what you receive. If they put in 50% effort, match it. Stop overcompensating for people who won't do the same. Prioritize yourself first. The moment you notice someone isn't valuing you, shift your energy to yourself or to people who do. Recognize the signs early. If someone only contacts you when they need something, or always expects you to initiate, don't ignore the pattern. Make people earn your presence, instead of constantly proving why you deserve to be in their life. Let them show you why they deserve to be in yours. Respect is earned in your absence, not in your presence. People don't remember the ones who are always available, they remember the ones they had to earn. If you have to force your presence, you don't belong there. Stop begging for appreciation. Stop proving your worth. Stop being available to people who wouldn't even notice if you were gone. Because when you finally pull away, you'll realize something powerful. You weren't losing them, they had already lost you. 2. Stop explaining yourself. When someone starts devaluing you, your natural instinct is to seek clarity. You wonder what changed, what you did wrong, or if they're just going through something personal. You feel the need to explain yourself, remind them of your worth, justify your feelings, or defend yourself against their indifference. But here's the brutal truth. If someone truly valued you, they wouldn't need a presentation on why you matter. If they cared, they wouldn't make you prove it. When you start explaining yourself to someone who has already mentally checked out, you don't regain their respect, you lose more of it. Instead of being seen as an equal, you position yourself as someone who needs to convince them to stay. And once they sense that dynamic, they hold the power while you keep chasing. Then the worst part, people who don't value you will rarely give you an honest answer. If they've already distanced themselves, they're not going to tell you, "I don't respect you anymore." Instead, they'll say, "I've been busy, but not too busy for others," or "Nothing's wrong, you're just overthinking it," even though their actions scream otherwise. It's just life, people drift, yet they seem to be closer to others just fine. MCC Hun. The best response isn't to ask for clarity, it's to watch and wait. If someone changes how they treat you, don't ask why, pay attention to what they do next. If someone pulls away, don't chase them. Give them space and see if they return on their own. If someone stops prioritizing you, don't remind them of your worth, see if they notice your absence. The moment you stop explaining and start observing, you'll notice something interesting. The ones who still care will make an effort. The ones who were done with you will let you go. And either way, you get your answer without having to beg for it. A while back, I had a close friend who started acting distant. No more check-ins, barely any replies, and when we did talk, it felt forced. My first instinct was to text them and ask, "Hey, is everything okay? Did I do something wrong?" But something stopped me. I realized that if they truly valued our friendship, I wouldn't need to convince them to stay engaged. Instead of asking, I observed. I stopped reaching out first, I stopped explaining myself. And I waited. Guess what? They never reached out. At first, it hurt, but then I had a moment of clarity. If my presence was only being sustained by my effort, it wasn't real to begin with. So I walked away. And guess what? They never reached out. That silence, that was my answer. As we continue exploring the importance of setting boundaries and recognizing when someone no longer values you, let's dive into the realization that sometimes letting go is the best way to protect yourself and find peace. I realized that if they truly valued our friendship, I wouldn't need to convince them to stay engaged. So, instead of asking, I observed. I stopped reaching out first, I stopped explaining myself. And I waited. Guess what? They never reached out. At first, it stung, but then I had a moment of clarity. If someone can forget about you that easily, why should you fight to stay in their life? If they don't notice your absence, why should you work overtime to prove your presence? That's when I realized something powerful. Sometimes, people aren't meant to stay in your life, and that's okay. Stop seeking closure. If someone doesn't respect you enough to communicate, their silence is your answer. Let their actions speak. If they care, they'll show it. If they don't, they won't. Don't create meaning where there is none. Be okay with silence. Not every situation needs a discussion. Sometimes, distance answers everything. Trust energy, not words. People say what's convenient, but they act on what they truly feel. Always believe their behavior. If someone makes you feel like you have to convince them to treat you right, you're already losing. Your worth should never be something you have to explain or defend. The right people will see it effortlessly. The wrong people will make you doubt it. And the moment you stop chasing, you'll see the difference. So next time someone starts pulling away, don't explain, don't beg, don't plead, just step back, stay silent, and watch the truth reveal itself. Because real respect is never asked for, it's given willingly. Busy is just an excuse. When someone starts devaluing you, one of the most common excuses they'll use is, "I've just been really busy." It sounds reasonable, right? Everyone has responsibilities, work, family, personal struggles. But let's be honest, people always make time for what truly matters to them. If someone genuinely cares about you, they won't need hours of free time to show it. A quick message, a call back, a simple check-in, these take seconds. So when someone repeatedly tells you they're too busy, what they're really saying is, You're not a priority right now. I have time for other things, but not for you. I don't want to put in effort, so I'll blame my schedule. The hardest part, most people don't say this maliciously. They don't wake up thinking, how can I ignore this person today? They just slowly stop valuing you. But instead of accepting I'm busy as a legitimate excuse, watch how they act when they actually want something. Do they suddenly have time when they need a favor? Do they respond quickly when they're interested in the conversation? Do they make time for others but leave you waiting? The reality is, when people care, they don't find time, they make time. If someone constantly tells you they're too busy for you, here's how to respond. Stop initiating. If they truly value you, they'll notice your absence. Match their energy. If they put in minimal effort, do the same. Don't remind them of your worth. If they don't see it, that's their loss, not yours. A few years ago, I had a friend I used to talk to every day. Then, out of nowhere, they started saying, I've just been really busy lately. At first, I believed them, life gets hectic. But over time, I started noticing patterns. They always had time for social media but never replied to my texts. They were always available when they needed something, but couldn't check in with me. That's when the truth hit me. They weren't actually busy, they just didn't prioritize me anymore. So, I stopped trying. I stopped reaching out first. And guess what? They disappeared completely. At first, it hurt, but then I realized, if my presence was only being sustained by my effort, it wasn't real to begin with. So I walked away. And guess what? They never reached out. That silence, that was my answer. Now that we've explored the importance of setting boundaries and recognizing when someone no longer values you, let's look at the next critical step: how to regain control of your emotional space and focus on yourself for a stronger, healthier mindset. As we discussed earlier, it's crucial to recognize when someone no longer values you and how letting go can be the best thing you can do for yourself. Now, let's dive into the powerful step: learning how to regain control over your emotional space and stop chasing those who don't prioritize you. At first, I believed them. Life gets hectic, right? But over time, I started noticing patterns. They always had time for social media, but never replied to my texts. They were always available when they needed something. They somehow found time for new friendships but couldn't check in with me. That's when I realized the hard truth: they weren't actually busy, they just didn't prioritize me anymore. So, I stopped trying. I stopped reaching out first. And guess what? They disappeared completely. At first, it hurt, but then I understood. People will make time for you if they truly want to, and if they don't, let them go. Don't chase attention. If someone is truly busy but cares about you, they'll still find small ways to stay connected. If they don't, move on. Stop making excuses for others. If someone repeatedly ignores you but has time for other things, accept the truth. They don't value you like they used to. Focus on people who reciprocate. The ones who truly care will never make you feel like an inconvenience. Trust actions, not words. A person who wants you in their life will never be too busy to show it. The next time someone tells you, I'm just really busy, pay attention to what they do, not what they say. Because in reality, no one is ever too busy. It's just a question of where you rank on their priority list. 3. Be okay with losing people. One of the hardest things to accept in life is that not everyone you care about will care about you in the same way. Yet, when we sense someone pulling away, our natural reaction is to resist. We fight to keep them in our lives, overextend ourselves, and even tolerate disrespect just to avoid the pain of losing them. But here's the uncomfortable truth: people don't leave your life by accident, they make a choice. When someone values you, they make an effort. When they don't, they make excuses. The more you try to convince someone to stay, the more they lose respect for you. Trying to hold on to someone who has already checked out mentally or emotionally only leads to one thing: self-betrayal. You'll find yourself lowering your standards, tolerating treatment you never would have before, and feeling like you have to prove your worth to someone who has already stopped seeing it. The problem isn't that people leave. The problem is that we don't want to accept it. The moment you stop fearing loss, you gain control over your own life. Instead of clinging to relationships that have already run their course, try this: let them go. Then gracefully and without resistance. The harder you fight for someone's attention, the less they will respect you. Instead, allow space. If they care, they'll return. If they don't, you have your answer. Shift your focus inward. Instead of questioning why they're pulling away, ask yourself, do I really want to keep someone in my life who doesn't make me feel valued? Understand that rejection is redirection. When people leave, it's not a loss, it's a lesson in MCC Hun. It's the universe clearing space for someone better, someone who will truly appreciate your presence. Rebuild your confidence. Remind yourself that your value isn't determined by who stays in your life, but by how you see yourself. If someone truly wants to be in your life, you won't have to force them to stay. I once had a close friend whom I considered family. We talked every day, shared our struggles, and supported each other through everything. But as time passed, things started to change. They stopped putting in the effort, and I found myself constantly trying to keep the relationship alive. That's when I realized, if they truly valued me, I wouldn't have to convince them to stay engaged. I stepped back, gave them the space they needed, and stopped reaching out first. The silence that followed was deafening, but it became clear, if they can forget about you that easily, why fight to stay in their life? As we discussed earlier, sometimes the most empowering thing you can do is let go of people who no longer value you. Now, let's explore how to reclaim your emotional power and shift your focus back to yourself. Slowly, things started to change. They began making excuses, taking longer to reply, and canceling plans. I tried to convince myself it was just a temporary phase, that they were going through a rough patch. So, I reached out more. I tried harder. But the harder I tried, the clearer it became they weren't invested anymore. It hurt at first. I took it personally. Did I do something wrong? Was I not good enough? But then, a realization hit me. People don't drift away by accident. They do it because they've made a decision. And if someone can let you go so easily, why would you fight to keep them? So, I stopped chasing. I stopped over-explaining. I stopped making excuses for them. And guess what happened? They disappeared completely. But instead of feeling broken, I felt relieved. I wasn't wasting my energy anymore on someone who didn't appreciate it. And in that space, I found better people, ones who valued me effortlessly. Stop chasing people. The right relationships are mutual. If someone wants to leave, open the door and let them walk. Recognize when the energy shifts, when someone's behavior changes. Don't ignore the signs. Don't wait until you've drained yourself emotionally, trying to fix something that isn't meant to be fixed. Be willing to walk away first. If you sense someone is pulling back, don't wait until they completely discard you. Respect yourself enough to leave first. Strengthen your sense of self-worth. People come and go, but your value stays the same. Your confidence should never depend on someone else's validation. Accept that not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are seasonal. They teach you lessons, show you what you deserve, and then exit your life. Let them go with grace. The harsh truth is, you don't lose people, you just find out who's truly meant to be in your life. We often think losing someone is a tragedy, but what's even worse is keeping people around who don't value us. So, the next time someone starts slipping away, don't beg, don't plead, and don't fight for their attention. Instead, step back and see what happens. If they return, they were meant to be in your life. If they don't, you've just saved yourself years of wasted effort. Because the right people never make you feel like you have to earn their presence. 4. Shift your focus elsewhere. When someone starts devaluing you, it's easy to make them the center of your attention. You overanalyze their behavior, replay conversations in your head, and constantly wonder, what did I do wrong? Or how can I fix this? This happens because your mind craves closure. When someone distances themselves, your brain goes into problem-solving mode, desperately trying to figure out why. Unfortunately, this usually leads to overthinking. You obsess over their words, actions, and social media activity. You start blaming yourself and questioning your worth. Emotional dependence creeps in, and your happiness becomes tied to their validation. The more you focus on them, the more power you give them over your emotions. And if they already don't value you, why would you give them that kind of control? Then the key to regaining your confidence is redirecting your energy away from them and toward yourself. Invest in yourself. Instead of wondering why they're acting distant, focus on your personal growth. Learn a new skill, start a passion project, or hit the gym. When you level up, you naturally outgrow people who don't appreciate you. As we've explored, stepping away from those who no longer appreciate you is a powerful MCC act of self-care. Now, let's take a deeper dive into how to protect your peace, reclaim your energy, and grow stronger by focusing on your own journey. When you focus on your personal growth, you naturally outgrow people who don't appreciate you. Surround yourself with those who uplift and inspire you. Spend time with people who genuinely enjoy your presence, and you'll find that losing one person no longer feels like the end of the world. Create new experiences, book a solo trip, try a new hobby. Challenge yourself in ways that remind you of your independence. The more fulfilling your life becomes, the less you'll care about someone who doesn't see your worth. 5. Control what you consume. If someone is ignoring you or acting distant, don't torture yourself by checking their social media or rereading old texts. Unfollow, mute, or distance yourself from anything that keeps you emotionally stuck. The goal isn't to ignore the pain, it's to outgrow it. There was a time when I poured too much energy into a friendship that wasn't mutual. I was always the one checking in first, always making the plans, always prioritizing them. But then, things started to change. They stopped responding with the same effort. And that's when I fell into a cycle of overthinking and self-doubt. I kept asking myself, did I do something wrong? Should I confront them? But then, I had an epiphany. Why was I spending all my energy on someone who clearly wasn't thinking about me? So, I made a decision. Instead of obsessing over their absence and MCC I shifted my focus. I started going to the gym more consistently. I took on a personal project that I'd been putting off. I surrounded myself with people who actually valued my time. Something unexpected happened. The less I focused on them, the more my self-respect grew. I realized I didn't need their validation. I had just been too distracted to see my own worth. Keep your identity separate from your relationships. Never make one person your entire world. Maintain your own interests, goals, and personal growth. Have a life outside of them. If your happiness depends on one person, losing them will feel like losing yourself. Always have hobbies, passions, and a social circle beyond that one relationship. Recognize the early signs of imbalance. If you notice that you're always the one giving, always the one chasing, take a step back early. Don't wait until you're emotionally drained to realize they don't reciprocate. The best way to prevent yourself from obsessing over the wrong people is to become so focused on your own goals that their absence feels irrelevant. Adopt a mindset of abundance. Instead of clinging to one person, remind yourself that there are countless people in the world who will appreciate you effortlessly. Then the more you focus on someone who doesn't value you, the more you forget your own worth. Stop waiting for their attention. Stop hoping they'll change. Stop making them the center of your thoughts. Instead, put yourself first. Build the life that makes you happy. Work on your goals. Surround yourself with better people, and watch how quickly their absence stops mattering. MCC Because at the end of the day, the best revenge is a life so fulfilling that you don't even notice who left. As we continue exploring the theme of self-respect and the importance of emotional control, let's discuss how passive-aggressive behavior can hold you back and how embracing direct communication and emotional maturity can set you free. You still want them to notice that something is wrong, but instead of addressing it directly, you try to send subtle signals. Common passive-aggressive behaviors include giving one-word answers to make them feel your frustration, taking longer to reply just to make them wonder, posting vague quotes on social media that hint at your disappointment, or saying, "I'm fine," when you're clearly not. This happens because you want to regain control of the situation. You're hurt, but instead of confronting the issue head-on, you try to make them feel guilty. Here's the problem. Passive-aggressive behavior doesn't make them value you, it makes you look weak. Someone who truly doesn't care about you will simply see your silent treatment and move on. And even if they do notice, it won't make them respect you more. It will only make them see you as emotionally immature. If someone is treating you poorly, you have two choices. 1. Communicate directly if the relationship is important to you. Have an honest conversation about how you feel. No mind games, no guilt trips, just the truth. 2. Detach and move on if they've repeatedly shown that they don't value you. Stop wasting your energy. Your silence and absence should be enough of a statement. Be direct. If something is bothering you, say it calmly and confidently. For example, "I've noticed a change in how we communicate. Is something wrong?" If they continue to dismiss you, don't waste your energy trying to make them feel bad. Instead, shift your focus to people who actually care. Set boundaries. If they take you for granted, don't try to punish them, just distance yourself naturally. The right people will notice your absence. Emotional maturity is knowing when to speak up and when to walk away, without playing games. I used to think that ignoring someone or throwing subtle jabs would make them realize they were hurting me. So, when a friend started acting distant, I mirrored their energy. I stopped replying quickly, gave cold responses, and posted vague Instagram quotes like, "People show their true colors eventually." Guess what? They didn't care. Instead of making them chase me, it just made me look bitter. And worse, it made me feel powerless, so I stopped the games. I stopped trying to make them feel guilty and just moved on. The moment I did that, I realized something powerful. The right people won't make you beg for their attention. Silence is more powerful than passive aggression. Acting unbothered is far better than pretending to be okay. Stop seeking validation from people who don't reciprocate. If they care, they'll show it. If they don't, no amount of passive aggression will change that. Detach from emotionally immature people. If someone constantly makes you feel like you have to prove your worth, they're not worth your time. Practice emotional control. Don't react out of anger or hurt. Either communicate your feelings clearly or walk away, but never beg for attention through games. Learn to move in silence. Instead of playing mind games, let your actions speak. Distance yourself, focus on your life, and let the results do the talking. If someone devalues you, don't try to manipulate them into caring. Don't send mixed signals, don't make them guess. Don't waste time trying to punish them. Instead, focus on yourself, your actions, your peace, and your growth. Because real strength lies in knowing when to walk away. When you stop playing games and start focusing on yourself, you'll find the clarity you need. As we've already discussed, true strength lies in knowing when to stop caring about people who don't deserve you. Now, let's explore how to handle the emotional roller coaster that comes with people devaluing you, and how to reclaim your power by staying silent and moving on. When someone stops valuing you, your first instinct might be to demand answers, cause a scene, or make them feel guilty. You might want to confront them, send a long message about how hurt you feel, or even call them out publicly. It's a natural reaction when you feel disrespected. Your emotions take over, and you want them to understand the pain they've caused you. But here's the brutal truth. People who no longer value you won't care about your explanation. If they cared, they wouldn't have treated you this way in the first place. If they wanted to fix things, they would have. If they wanted to stay in your life, they wouldn't be forcing you to question your worth. So why waste your energy trying to convince them to respect you? The moment you start over-explaining, justifying, or trying to prove why they should treat you better, you give them all the power. And people don't respect desperation, they exploit it. Instead of reacting emotionally, respond with indifference. No long paragraphs. If someone starts pulling away, let them. The more you explain, the more desperate you look. No begging for clarity. If someone makes you unimportant, unimportant, you don't need an explanation, you already have your answer. No trying to make them feel guilty. If they truly cared, they wouldn't have made you feel this way in the first place. No emotional outbursts. The less you react, the more control you keep. If you feel the urge to send them a long message, stop. If you want to call them out, breathe. If you want to force a conversation, walk away. Because nothing scares people more than silence from someone they expected a reaction from. I used to believe that if I could just explain myself perfectly, people would understand my worth. So, when someone I cared about started ignoring me, I did what most people do. I sent a long, emotional message. I poured my heart out, explaining how much I had done for them and how I deserved better. And you know what happened? They ignored it. I sat there, waiting for a response that never came. That's when I realized, the people who truly care about you don't need an explanation. They already know your worth. So, the next time someone treated me that way, I didn't say a word. No drama, no emotional messages. I just moved in silence. And guess what? That's when they noticed. Learn to walk away without a speech. Not everyone deserves closure. If someone disrespects you, let them go without making a scene. Detach emotionally before they detach physically. If you sense someone pulling away, Don't cling, start stepping back first. Let silence do the talking. The most powerful response is no response at all. Remember, people don't respect explanations, they respect absence. When you stop explaining yourself, they either realize your value or they prove they never cared. You don't need to explain your worth. You don't need to convince someone to treat you right. People who truly value you won't put you in a position where you have to question your importance. So, the next time someone starts treating you like an afterthought, don't argue, don't beg, don't explain, just walk away. Because real power isn't in convincing someone to care. It's in knowing when to stop trying. The moment you stop chasing, you start choosing. At the end of the day, you have two choices: keep trying to convince people to value you, or start valuing yourself enough to walk away. The harsh reality: people who take you for granted aren't going to wake up one day and suddenly appreciate you. That only happens in movies. In real life, the more you beg for respect, the less you get. The more you chase, the more they run. But the second you stop explaining, stop reacting, and stop proving your worth, everything shifts. Some people will realize what they lost and try to come back. Others will disappear completely, proving they were never meant to stay. Either way, you win, because the right people don't need reminders. They don't need explanations, ultimatums, or dramatic exits. They see your value without you having to prove it. So, next time someone stops valuing you, remember this: silence is powerful, distance is clarity, and walking away is self-respect. You are not an option, you are not a backup plan, and you are definitely not a convenience. The moment you stop chasing people, you start choosing yourself, and that's when everything changes.